a voice that melts into your ears, finds its way into your heart, and brings peace to your mind. And remember, borders belong to countries, not to legends. And such a voice still lives today, the voice of Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan. Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan was not just a singer. He was a Qawwali maestro, a musician, and one of the most extraordinary voices the world of music has ever known. His voice carried the soul of the East, while his music had the ability to embrace the sounds and possibilities of the West. There was something truly special about his voice. Even people who could not understand the language could feel what he was singing. Because some voices do not need translation, they only need to be felt. Nusrat came from a great musical tradition. Music had been part of his family for generations, and he inherited the rich tradition of Qawwali. But Nusrat was not someone who simply wanted to repeat the past. He wanted to take that tradition further. He experimented, he explored new sounds, and most importantly, he wanted the soul of Qawwali to reach the world. Then came 1985 and the Womad Festival. It became an important moment in Nusrat's international journey. Nusrat and his Qawwali party performed before an international audience that, for the most part, was unfamiliar with the language and traditions of Qawwali. But when his voice filled the air, the language barrier began to disappear. People may not have understood every word, but they understood the emotion. They felt the music. And that was one of Nusrat's greatest powers. His voice did not depend on words alone. It reached straight into the heart. Another extraordinary quality of Nusrat was his remarkable vocal range, power, and improvisation. He could take a single line and transform it again and again. Sometimes his voice would become soft and gentle, and then, in a moment, rise with such incredible power that the entire atmosphere of the performance would change. Even highly skilled musicians performing alongside him had to remain constantly connected to his rhythm, pitch, and movements. Because Nusrat's voice did not always stay inside a fixed musical pattern. It moved, it explored, and it created something new in the moment. That was part of what made him so extraordinary. Then Nusrat began creating a beautiful meeting point between East and West. He remained deeply connected to the soul of traditional Qawwali, while also experimenting with modern Western musical sounds. His work with Michael Brook became one of the most important examples of this musical journey. Traditional harmonium, tabla, rhythm, Sufi poetry, combined with modern Western production. This fusion helped create remarkable works such as Must Must, introducing the power of Qawwali to an even wider international audience. It was not simply a mixture of two musical worlds. It was a beautiful musical dialogue between East and West, and Nusrat became one of its greatest voices. By then, his fame had traveled far beyond Pakistan. People in different countries were listening to his music. People who did not understand Urdu were still moved by his voice. Because some forms of music do not need translation, the heart becomes their translator. And his voice eventually reached the world of cinema as well. Hollywood could not remain untouched by his extraordinary talent. Nusrat's music and voice became part of the soundtrack of Dead Man Walking, and his work with Eddie Vedder brought his voice into another world of international music. This was another sign that Nusrat was no longer limited to the traditional Qawwali stage. His voice had entered the international world of film and music, and major musicians were beginning to recognize the power of his art. His fame had reached a point where some of the biggest names in music were interested in working with him. He met Lata Mangeshkar, one of India's greatest voices. Nusrat shared some of his compositions with her, and their musical connection became another beautiful chapter in his remarkable journey. And there was also talk of a musical project involving Madonna. It was a plan being discussed during the final period of his life. But sadly, fate had something else in store. And there was another side of Nusrat that made him special. He was not only a great singer, Qawwali maestro, and musician, he was also a remarkable human being. Despite reaching extraordinary heights of fame, he remained simple and humble. He was known for being warm-hearted, gentle, and far removed from arrogance. He did not allow fame to separate him from the person he had always been. His greatness was not only in his voice, it was also in his character. But Nusrat's journey was painfully short. On August 11, 1997, at only 48 years of age, Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan passed away in London. A voice that had reached millions suddenly became silent, and perhaps the saddest part was knowing that he still had so much more to give. More music, more experiments, more Qawwali, more dreams, more moments that the world might have experienced through his voice, but life gave him no more time. Yet, did his voice really become silent? No. Some voices do not disappear when the person leaves this world. They live through recordings, they live through memories, and they live in the hearts of the people who continue to listen. Even today, when Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan's voice begins to play, something changes. A new generation discovers him. They listen. They wonder how a voice from another era can still feel so alive. Perhaps that is the difference between a great artist and a legend. Great artists create music, legends become part of it. Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan did not simply sing Qawwali, he carried it to the world. He preserved the soul of Eastern music while opening doors toward the West. He brought different cultures closer through one extraordinary voice. And perhaps that is why his voice still belongs to everyone who has ever felt it. Because borders belong to countries, not to legends. And Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan is still a voice that lives in millions of hearts. A voice that melts into your ears, finds its way into your heart, and brings peace to your mind. A voice you'll never forget. Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan. Your one subscription can help make a needy person's life easier. 40% of this channel's earnings will be used to support those in need. Thank you for being part of this journey.